get to wait.
Yeah.
Morning. Our work in progress. Well, this one.
Ja, ich kann mir das aber holen.
I can just start in the meantime. I'm Kim. My partner somehow got me to do this, and he is somewhere else today. But we purchased Petwant's Cape Fear. It was an existing locally owned franchise in the middle of COVID. My nephew is a budding entrepreneur and has purchased a couple of businesses over the past couple of years. To give some background on him, I used to be a store manager at Circuit City when it existed here in town. And I was an avid gardener, and I was at Home Depot getting some supplies, and some young man came out to put the supplies in my car for me, and we started talking. And it was Ben, my partner. And we started talking. I asked him to come over and interview to come work for me, that we're looking for good people. He did. We hired him. He went into management there, and then he started dating my niece and married my niece. And now he and I are business partners together 15 years later. So it is a very interesting how it has come full circle. I employed him, and now he's kind of employing me and my kids. So Petwant's started in 2010, I think was the starting year, out in Cincinnati. Some woman had a dog who she adored. It was her child. It was very sick and much medication. She did not believe that that needed to be so, and started to do some research and developed a formula for pet food and started feeding her dog this formula. It worked so well, she opened a pet store. That business grew so much, and then she started to franchise it, and that's how it has come along. We purchased what is known as mobile market. There's no brick and mortar. It is just, when we bought the business, there's a little 10-foot trailer that's a side hustle on itself, because everybody wants to buy our trailer. But we set it up at farmers markets, pop-up markets, breweries in town, stuff like that, and do our business that way. Plus, we have a website. Our website supported by our company. They set up the platform, and we manipulate it within that, which we're looking to move to some new ones right now. So we purchased it September of 2021. Right in the middle of COVID, when things started shutting down, people were not coming out. So it was a very challenging time, to say the least, to purchase the business. It was my niece, her husband, obviously, who is my partner. His brother was part of it at the time, and my two daughters. Right now, pretty much left standing, doing most of the work is my older daughter, Cassidy, and I. We do all the events, the marketing, the deliveries. Part of our model is you can purchase the food online, and we will deliver it to your house free of charge. We have a setup that there's a minimum $25 purchase to do it, and our market's pretty large. We go from Hampstead to Leland to Carolina Beach, so we do cover a pretty big area. Right now, we're doing 2 days a week. We've just this week brought on a delivery driver who's doing it, so it will free up my daughter Cass to do more planning with me and setting up more events and places to sell our stuff at. This is our crew. Ben, obviously, and I are the co-owners, and then everybody else has another little role in it. My other daughter does very little of it right now, but the two of us are doing all of it.
I can
Okay.
link it.
As I said, we purchased it about 1.5 years ago. We grew the business quite a bit in that time, even when a lot of businesses were struggling. Most of the markets that we do, the other vendors were not doing anywhere near what they did previously, but we were able to still grow it. Clearly not as much. Ben and I are very competitive and really hoping to grow it even more. So we have not been able to increase it as much as we hoped within that time, but the economy definitely, as everybody knows, took a turn and made it a little more challenging for us. The mission of our company itself is just fresh, healthy, natural foods. Much research is done on anything that the company produces or anything we buy. All our vendors are vetted. We buy Petwan's products, but then each individual owner is able to bring on other products that they want within it. And depending, prior, all we had was our trailer, and we would set up in a 10-foot space under a tent. So our assortment was pretty limited. When we took it from the previous owner, who did a great job with the business, but it was a really limited assortment. We have probably tripled at least the amount of products or SKUs that we carry, expanding it quite a bit and maintaining the same model that, it's only healthy stuff. We only buy stuff that's made in the US that we know is healthy for your dogs or cats. No matter what's selling, I do all the buying. I do not go after anything that I think at all could be at harm to anybody's pet. So we pass on a bunch of products, but the whole model for the company is these really healthy, natural products. Our food is sourced with all products made in the US, and it's only one manufacturer who does it for us. 4 of the formulas are our own recipe. They don't make it for anybody else. So it is very proprietary just to Petwan's. And they're cooked in small batches at low temperatures. So they retain more nutrients than anything you buy on the store. The other piece of it, the company that makes it for us does not even cook it until we place our orders. So when we get the food, it's about 4 weeks old. When you go to any of the big box stores or to buy online, that stuff could have already been sitting on a shelf for 9 to 12 months before you're able to purchase it. And all the nutrients in that degrade over time. So it is never going to be what it says on the label. So we are very, very different in regards to that. Our wins so far, we made it through. We really took on this business. This whole thing happened. My nephew was just looking at different businesses up for sale, and he found this, knowing nothing about the industry. I have a very busy full-time job. That COVID, I work in the clinical research field. So my job was blowing up like crazy in the midst of this, and he had this idea to buy the business. He and I run it. My daughters were kind of the boots on the ground doing it. So we were like, sure, why not? Let's do this. Knowing nothing about starting. I run a lot of really big companies before, but knowing nothing about this business or starting something out like that. And as a side hustle, I mean, it was a pretty big thing to take on as our side hustle. We both had full-time jobs. So we used to be in 2 little rooms, like little 10 by 12 rooms in one of the office spaces he owns. And we had no way to sell to customers face to face other than being out at a market or something. And one of his tenants left his other space. And so we decided to take on the expense and increase this space. So we now have about 3 times the amount of space we used to have. A garage that we can keep, an air-conditioned garage we can keep our food in, our trailer fits in it, the whole bit, and decided to create a pseudo store, which is what you saw. My daughter and I have been building that out and are almost done. And so we will have limited hours that customers can come in face to face and buy in the store. We're not going to be considered a brick and mortar location because our storefront, as you can see, is very little, and we are going to have very limited hours that people can come, or we do it by appointment. They reach out to us and we meet them at the shop to sell them stuff. We are hoping to expand even more. My nephew's a go big or go home guy. And I'm a little more conservative, but we're looking to add on more trailers, more trucks, and do multiple markets at one time. Again, all of this happened with very little investment. He came up with enough capital for us to buy the franchise, but other than that, we haven't taken any loans out or anything yet. We are probably going to do so shortly, but we have just been making it through off the money that we are pulling in through the business. He and I have not taken anything out. The only person who's been receiving pay is my daughter. The pet industry, COVID has been really good for our business. During COVID, many more people acquired pets. Many more people are home, like myself, work from home completely now. So they are spending more time with their pets and are catering to them more, really more concerned about their health and well-being. And, at these markets, we meet people who it is their kids. Like, I think most of these people spoil their dogs and cats more than they ever do their kids, and are proud to tell us that. So, and there's hardly ever a question about price. I mean, we have our stuff clearly priced, but it doesn't really come up. And we are higher priced than what you're going to buy in Harris Teeter. We are not the highest of the top brands. While we are quality wise and nutrition wise, we are not price wise. And we have made a point, some of our peers will negotiate price and give discounts, and we are standing by our product. We have seen ourselves with our own pets, the change when we switch them over to the food. So we have made a point that we're not going to do that. We offer some discounts every once in a while, but we're not going to try to be the cheapest price around or beat these other people, because we know our product beats the other people. Again, we're building out this storefront and hoping that that brings us a totally different customer than we see at the markets. We're starting some days where they're working, building, and we'll see no one, and other days we'll see a couple of people come in. So we are off the beaten path. So we're never going to be like a real store. We're off of Carr Avenue, if you're not from here. And we're a destination. Nobody's going to drive by and see us because we're really set back off the road. Our opportunities, what we're hoping to do is expand our client base, increase our subscription sales. So we have customers who just come to those markets and buy things from us. We have a website where they can buy and we can deliver, they can pick up, and we have a subscription service where they can set up every 4 weeks, and they can cater to their needs every 4 weeks, every 3 weeks, whatever they want. We bring out X amounts of products. Some are just food, some are just our treats and spa products that we make. It is all different customer by customer. That piece of the business should really be about, in other models, is about 75% of their business. For us, it's not. We have grown the other piece a lot, and we would love to have that steady stream of income to increase that part. We are very cautiously layering on more staff, and we understand we have to do the spend up front to get the income later. And again, we've done it without taking any money out or loans or putting extra money into it. So we are about to, scary on my part, my nephew's all for it, but take that leap and make a bigger investment to really see what we can do with it. And our biggest challenge is increasing the brand recognition, because did any of you ever hear of us before today? Yeah, so that is our problem. We are a little mighty crew trying to get the word out around town about who we are, as a company, and then as a local franchise, who we are. So Some key points, I put a lot on here, but the pet food industry is blowing up like crazy. It's increasing at rates that no other businesses are. It did not, where many businesses were challenged during COVID and the economic downturn. The pet industry has done nothing but increase. Even on some of the surveys, they were talking about people's finances, and most people were like, I'm cutting back on groceries, I'm cutting back on going out and traveling and all that. And the majority of the people interviewed said they have no intentions of cutting back on what they spend on their pets. And 25% of them said they intend to spend even more because they're home with them more. One of the really interesting parts, which I think are my parents and people before us would just be like shocked. Not only are pet parents now worried about feeding them healthy and nutritious food, now they're worried about their social welfare, and that they are, if they're stressed, and are medicating them for that, and all these other human conditions, which are being taken on to the pet industry right now. As you can see, the growth is huge, and it's $115 billion in 2022 and expected to be at $163 billion in 2029. Pet owners, that number for our pet owners is quite low, but the numbers I was able to find that they spend an average of up to $442 a year. We have customers who will come into a market and drop $150 on some treats. And our food alone, if they buy a 40-pound bag of food, it's over $100. So, I mean, so there's not, that number is definitely not our clientele. And again, we do have some people who will come to a market and buy a $6 treat, and that's all they buy. But we have others who spend a great deal more. The pandemic, again, has just greatly increased this industry. The interesting part is more and more are buying their stuff online. Chewy and all those other kind of businesses and the brick and mortar locations are doing less and less business. So our model is perfectly set up for that will be a hybrid and be able to handle both. And in light of that, we're really hoping our website, or traffic to our website increases greatly. We've been seeing small increments of change, but not as big. And it is not a very well-developed website. Our company just got a new CEO and is making a bunch of changes, and hopefully we're going to see a better website coming forward. Just a lot of interesting statistics. All right, we know, and I don't know about the businesses everybody else is in, but social media is the way for us to grow right now. And we've been so busy taking on this business and learning the business and getting things set up. We were a little slower on this. My daughter and I are getting very active in it lately, and without spending money. Again, we've done a couple of little hits on Facebook, a couple of little page posts, but for the most part, we're not. And yet we're still slowly growing our following on there, getting a little bit more exposure. And we're looking to like really increase that, because we know with who our clientele is, that's the way to go. And that's where we need to really focus. So we are trying to be very diligent about posting stuff on a regular basis, almost daily. Our parent company does post for us, and then we do our own local ones. I'm starting to see that the ones we do have more views and more comments, and we are getting over a 10% engagement rate on them, which is way higher than I've seen on many. So it would be huge for us if we could increase the number of eyes seeing it and maintain that 10%. It would be tremendous. But it is definitely the way that we're going to be able to grow our business with very little money spent. And that's our crew and just some of our setups. let's see, I think. So there's one more slide. I asked you today to share your knowledge and input on how we can best grow our business through the use of social media. Again, it's the cheaper way for us to go right now, and for our industry, I think it's the way we need to go. How to grow our brand awareness locally. We try to be in a lot of spot places. We've done a little TV and radio, and we're looking to probably make a bigger investment on that if it's the right way to go. And we also do a bunch of donations and support certain events to help get our word name out that way. And what is the one thing you all wish you knew before you started? Again, ours, it was a 10-minute conversation on the couch at my house, like, do you want to do this? And we all were like, yeah, without much forethought or planning or anything. To give you some perspective of the chaos of it, we made the decision, got all the finances in line, closing kept getting pushed off. Closing date finally comes. It has to happen over Zoom because of COVID. My niece is expecting their third child, has to go to the hospital to have the baby. The day of the closing, they get to the hospital and they all have COVID. So
Nice.
talk about a business starting in pure chaos. So that was how we began. And it's only gone up since then, but it was definitely a very memorable way to start our business and learn this new industry, which again, Ben went to school for finance and has been in many finance jobs. He owns an insurance company. He just bought a couple of Jackson Hewitts, has a small real estate thing he's looking to get going. So he's got his hands in a bunch of pots. I, again, work in clinical research as an executive assistant, went to school for merchandising and buying many years ago, went to school for design, adopted my kids, changed careers, and started back to school for clinical research. So I'm working on, excuse me, a new degree, but then this came along. So this side hustle is becoming a very large side hustle, along with very busy careers that we have. So my daughter's learning, she's a UNCW student. She's learning so much more than she's ever going to learn in school, being the boots on the ground for our business. And hopefully, I hope at the end of this, she loves this and makes this her career when she graduates next year. So we will see all the work we put forward this year, how much, she has her days she loves it, and she has her days not as much. We have a lot of early mornings doing all these markets and all. So it is not an easy business, but very rewarding. And it's the face-to-face with customers can't be beat. So that's it, I think.